My fun and Melonine, and well met indeed. I'm Adrian Galadurthan, head of the modding team behind Divide and Conquer, and welcome back to Divide and Conquer Middle-earth Total War, as we continue on as Anduin, the Vale of. We are fighting everyone, because that's how you play as the Anduin. Dol Guldur to the south, although we've got Dol Guldur pretty much over a table, to be honest, although, of course, we are about to lose both Ost-in-Gael and Brown Boat. In the north, though, Gundabad gives us trouble, and they are keen to take back Goblin Town, which we lost, annoyingly, to an army of 2 units. We've sent a general to take it back, Captain Hathol. He's got 2 Bjorning units and, unfortunately, 1 Valesman. But Nagzag is there to support him, who's just a unit of archers, who stands alone, and then there's the 2 units that took the town. None of which is a threat. And if need be, we have got those 3 as well, but I was hoping to ship them up north to assist Lord Bayon, Conqueror of Goblin Town, who shall shortly be Lord Bayon, Conqueror of Goblin Town and Gundabad, because we're going to bloody well take the fight to the snowy bastards, if you'll pardon my French. Over here in the east, we're just going to try and do a loop-de-loop, if you will. That's not the right word, really. We're going to do a U-shape, a horseshoe, if you will, of conquest in the forest. As General Britta, sorry, is going to go and take Erunrunen. And while he's doing that, Gleowine, the great and mighty Gleowine, the happy and cheery Gleowine, is going to pop out here and try and maybe see if we can get the marches of the Northmen before... or at the same time as Eastern Mirkwood. We just need to make it so that Dol Guldur are only coming from one way, and by doing that we can take these 2 regions to do that. So that's where we are. I believe we're about to end the turn, because yes, your battering ram is not ready, and you're moving up there in Deedly. So we can end the turn. Now, something that I meant to do a couple of weeks ago and I didn't, but I'll probably make the video go up next week when I'm away, is that recently... of course, we're still called Divide and Conquer at the moment, but something that was brought to sharp relief was on the Discord server, which is now very much the home of Divide and Conquer. We had to submit a background image for something that we did on the Discord recently. I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was the partnership thing. It was the community thing. We made the Discord server a community, whatever that means. But in doing so, we needed to get a background image. And I used the one which Divide and Conquer has used for many, many years, which if I remember to do, that's why I'm getting a pen and doing it now, I've just flashed up on the screen for you all. And in looking at that picture all these many years later, because I only use it for installation purposes nowadays, really. But in looking at that picture, I realise it is woefully outdated. It uses the wrong icons. It has some factions that DaC doesn't even have anymore. It has some factions, or it doesn't have factions that DaC now does have. The picture is very outdated, or the graphic is probably a better term for it. Who is here? Ulairon. Ulairon is the Wraith-style general. Or maybe he's no longer a Wraith. We don't know. It's just that his image has changed to be a human. So the image is outdated. And I discussed this with the team a few weeks back, and we thought none of us really could do it that great a justice. But if need be, we will do it. But I thought in first instance, it would be best to open this out to all of you and say... anybody that wants to have a stab at redesigning a sort of 1920 by 1080p image for Divide and Conquer as a sort of splash screen, if you will, then please do have a go. I think we can just end the turn because I don't think anything has actually happened. Oh no, look, we can attack Goblin Town. Yes, yes, that we will do. Because then their archer army won't get used. And to incentivize those of you that might want to have a stab at this, we thought we'd run a sort of competition. Now, we may get absolutely no results on this at all. And as I say, I'm going to do an entire video devoted to just promoting this little competition. It will be like 5 minutes long or something. And we'll promote it on the Discord as well. But if you want to have a stab at it, please do have a stab at redesigning that picture to be sort of more modern, if you will. And if need be, I think the icons that we use in Divide and Conquer are currently publicly available. But if need be, when I upload the video which announces the competition, I'll also upload all the icons we use, the latest ones, so that those of you who maybe don't have the latest version of DaC, or even if they're currently not actually publicly available, I can at least give them to you all, so you can use those. But to incentivize those of you who may want to do it, we will run a little competition, and we thought the best way, because we can't really offer very much. So one of the things that we can offer in the first instance is to at least give you access to the current beta build of version 5. So you can then play all the latest changes as they happen. You don't necessarily need to be a beta tester, you don't have to report back to us. But just as a little thank you, whoever wins the competition, whoever's image we take as the best, or we take as the one we want, it's subjective, it's not objective, they'll at least get access to the latest version of DaC. But also, we thought perhaps a much more interesting way to reward those of you that participate is that for the person who we do select, and maybe even just a couple of shortlisters as well, so sort of the top 3 in our opinion, if you will, we thought we would reach then out to each of you and create some sort of character in the game named in your honour, and we'd talk to you about that. But then you get a lasting memento that you assisted Divide and Conquer. You can play the game, load up, I don't know, Gondor for example, look at a general in a town and be like, that general was named in my honour, and you can either choose the name or we'll create a lore accurate name based off of the name that you have. Now, as I say, some people might not bother jumping at this competition, and at the moment, you're welcome to begin work on it, but until the video releases, which will be next week, so you've got a whole week yet, there won't be anything officially announced about it, but I'm just sowing the seeds now so that it gets out there a little earlier and puts it in people's minds. But then, as I say, if need be, if hardly anyone participates and we're not overly keen on the results, for example, because of course we're going to want to like it. That's the thing. It's not about being best or worst. It's about meeting Hummingbird, Lynx, and I's our desire for the image. But we don't really have a set thought in mind. We just need an updated image that doesn't have sort of that very 2000s-y look with flames in the background and things like that. Because whilst, of course, Divide and Conquer, Middle-earth Total War, is all actually about warfare, that is the core concept, I've always thought having flames depicting warfare is a very teenage design philosophy. And I say that because when I was a teenager, whenever I drew anything war-related, there'd be flames everywhere. And so now I always think whenever I see flames, it reminds me of my own teenage years. So do, if you want to, have a stab at that when the video releases next week. And as I say, all of the icons, and by icons I mean the ones that scroll across the top when you click end turn, so all of the actual faction icons, I will release those independently as a downloadable folder, so you can all get access to those in the best format that I can give them to you, which is 1000 by 1000. I think that's what they were, the largest resolution of the ones I have is. If we actually now just turn to this battle though, welcome to Goblin Town. As you can see, it's been made a little easier to navigate around Goblin Town. There's a much bigger space in the middle now. I don't think we fought here before. Even though we did fight here, I'm fairly certain we auto-resolved, didn't we? There are more tents, as you can see, far, far, far more tents. There are gates now, RK added gates. There are still these little passages and side routes, which we've got here, but the main central area is now much bigger. Look how much bigger this is. You saw how easy it was to line my forces up. It's a much easier battle map to fight in now. Because, of course, we can't solve the inherent rubbishness, if you will, of settlements, the way that you can't line up your units properly and it takes forever to get it right. We can't solve that. But what we can do is make the layouts have larger deployment zones to counter that annoying and insane... bug isn't the right word, because it's not really a bug. It's not a feature, it's a limitation, that's a better word. They were limited by what they could do in... When did this game come out? 2012? 2013? 2008? I think it was 2008. So they were very limited by what they could do. In they go. You guys are going to hit the fighters at the back. And I tell you what, actually, you guys come around the side. Now, our Bjorning Axemen have gone in. For Bjorn! And they're going to shred these disgusting filth. Vermin! And we have Valesmen over there who aren't going to do as much. Well, let's actually have a look, because I like doing this, because it helps keep me on top of the units. Their attack is 2, their defense, though, is 6, which isn't bad. The Orc Fighters have an attack of 7 and a defense of 5. So, no, if we leave these two to their devices, the Valesmen will get shredded. They've got that. They have got a higher defense, but their low attack means they just won't kill anything. And so time will assist the Orc Fighters, whereas the Orc Hunters will go down to the Bjorning Axemen, I have no doubt. Although, look, they got a few javelin throws off there. That's annoying. In we go, in we go, in we go. Oh, perfect. A nice looking shield. I always think a good shield sells a unit so much more than the model does, because, as is evident right now, you spend a lot of time looking at the shield, because they always have it raised. And also I think the backs of units are often more telling, because you also do spend a lot of time behind your army, because you're leading them, and it's usually easier to do that from behind them. So you see the backs of units a lot, so I think attention to detail at the back and on shields is a good one, if it has a shield, of course. But that shield is particularly nice. It's got a nice little gleam that makes it look like it's catching light, even though we're underground, so do ignore that. And you'll note that every sort of third shield or so has a bear paw on it, which is cool. But this one is over, so let's time 6 it and leave our army to it. How many have we lost? 27, that's expected. Probably mostly from the Valesmen. Valesmen are a good early tier unit, but they are still a very early tier unit. Most nations have tier 1, 2 and 3, but some nations have what we never give a number to, but we simply call the trash tier. So there's trash, then there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And these Valesmen are very much in the trash tier. But that is totally relative to each individual faction. One faction to another. One faction's trash is another faction's tier 2, for example. I'm looking at you, Ennard Wythe. Ennard Wythe's tier 2 units, as you all know, are awful in comparison to, say, Gondor, Isengard, Dol Amroth, the elves. But it's relative to each nation, so each nation has its own trash, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, except certain nations don't have trash at all, and they just go straight in at tier 1. Usually trash is actually universal, and if it's a trash unit in one faction, it's a trash unit in them all. Trash units, I'm going to say trash so much, I apologise, but their stats are so terribly bad that they're so easy to notice from a distance that that is a trash unit, and you can then command them as necessary. Right, we've got Goblin Town back, which frees up 928 gold coins, and it basically gives our entire income is now based on Goblin Town. Oh, I must remember to put that picture. I'm going to move that bit of paper now and forget. I just know it. Now look, we're besieging their capital city, and yet they still sending troops south. You're not going to bloody well get it back. Bugger off. Although Captain Nazkuga is coming through. I think what we should do is put those troops for now in Framsburg, because they won't be able to go anywhere, as you just saw. But then when we can move them out, then we will. See, I could take those two, but I really want the Bjorning Spearmen as well. But so far, they've not bothered with the Allstone. Somebody suggested it's because there's no garrison, and so the AI overlooks it. But in my experience, garrison-less towns, the AI usually take while they're passing through. They won't spare a thought. They'll take it back instantly. So I'm really surprised they've not bothered with the Allstone. And I say it makes me tempted to put something in there. But look, Mythelberg is building, Goblin Town is building, Dwinberg is trying to train some troops. So that money that's coming through will actually find purpose. We can train a few more troops in Dwinberg, actually. Dwinberg is an excellent addition to the Anduin. It came in a couple of versions ago, and I think it was a worthy addition. Right, now, by my understanding then, Ber Alj and Erun Runen are the most northerly Dol Guldur provinces. Because this region up here should be held by Dale or the Wood Elves. Ah, yes, that's the Marches of the Northmen, and that's where it borders the Long Lake. So, yes, these are the most northerly runic settlements. Now, Gleowine will actually have a trouble taking down Ulairon because he's Shadow Rangers. And Cavalry Archers' biggest weakness, in my experience, is dedicated foot archers. Cavalry archers, of course, suffer the same problem that all cavalry does. They have a large hitbox, so arrows, even inaccurate arrows, are still likely to hit them. And because they only have a few, usually they only have a few units per company, individual men per company, they can quickly lose their bite. Speaking of bite, Gerzog has a very large under one, but Gorshag has come at us with the nose of a giant. He's going to take us down with that alone. Snow Orc Raiders and Snow Orc Spears, which is no threat to us. We've got plenty to deal with that. And King Gerzog comes with also an army of entirely Snow Orc related memorabilia. That's the wrong word, but I really wanted to say it. Orc Avengers will be a trouble, but we've got Lord Beorn and Fastred and Bwent here as well. We're definitely going to win it. Definitely going to win it. Off the back of playing as Anduin, Fastred and Gleerwine have now, and so for future versions, they have been given their own dedicated battle map models. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. I haven't added it to this, so you won't see it in my games. But if we pop over to Fastred, he's supposed to be a Northman, but as you can see, he's represented by a Bjorning in the game, and he shouldn't be because he's a Northman. And so Hummingbird has created unique battle map models for both Fastred and Gleerwine, so they are no longer Bjornings. Now, we were attacked by them, but they hit us in the rear, which means the garrison is going to be coming in from that back corner over there. So if we march to the top of this wonderful hill and then march them down again, if we march up here and push for this ridge, we should have a dream of a fight. Oh, and look at that ridge there as well. That's a blessing, not even in disguise. It's just a blessing. But then sometimes ridges can also be a bit of a pain, and your units don't utilise them properly. We may need to stand just below the ridge. It's tricky. This looks like it would be a fantastic ridge, and in real life it would. But in this game, where the units are terribly difficult to position, it may not actually prove to be as useful at first glance, because our archers may then end up arcing shots over because their own men are standing in the way. If we can get them on the slope, that's best.
The enemy are bringing in reinforcements.
Oh, and the reinforcements are closer than we think. And the reinforcements have archers. So what we're going to do is actually position our army ready to take down the reinforcements because they are the bigger threat. So, again, speaking of the... Let's get them on the slope like that. And then you and you... And that's going to be about it, I'm afraid. We have got so few melee forces in this army. You're going to need to be spread nice and wide because you're going to have to take the entire brunt of the enemy's attack. Now, Fastred and you guys, you can... Then the dots are showing, but they're really, really, really dark. It's just difficult to see. You can make them purple, you can make them yellow, and they'll work on some battle maps, and then other battle maps they'll be rubbish. You guys are javelin throwers, aren't you? And then our two Bjorning units, though, if you come down to the front and stand on the wing, cavalry likewise. Right, let's speed it up.
Our foes appear to be gaining the upper hand in this battle.
Everybody run. Archers, are you stopping and firing? Yes, you are. Perfect. Our melee line is about to be in position. Fantastic. They haven't lined up exactly how I wanted them to. In fact, they've lined up terribly. So we'll run the hobbits back here and just get them to throw their stones. You guys move further forward. Aha! And there we are. You're getting your javelins off. Once you're done, do back away. Oh, actually, don't do that. No, come and stand here, because I don't think they're actually bothering with you. Right, you turn and hit them then, and you turn and hit them. And then archers over here, you're gonna, oh, you're not even firing. If you could all really hit the enemy. Oh, and the hobbits haven't done very well either. How did you guys get on? You still throwing javelins? Come on, give them everything. Snowhawk Raiders there. Snowhawk Scouts, don't run away. You fire at whoever you like. Snowhawk Raiders, if you can hit those Raiders coming up the hill. Oh, Orc Avengers in the back. No, hit the Orc Avengers in the back. Let's whittle them down, please. And as they pass through their own line, we can then target them. Ah, you guys are going to have to go into the fight. But that's not to be unexpected. We have too few melee forces now. We definitely need more. Somebody said in the last episode when I was banging on about you all hearing my mouse wheel that many of you couldn't actually even hear the mouse wheel. And that could well be because I didn't want to mention it in the last episode, because every time I mention it I think it draws people's attention to it. I once again fiddled with my microphone because I'm so fed up with this ridiculously expensive microphone peaking and spiking my voice. And I realise now it is entirely the way that I set up the Windows sort of pickup level for the mic and the gain on the actual microphone itself. And I'm hoping... I feel like I've now found a nice happy medium where the video is not quiet, my voice drowns out the game, but my voice doesn't peak. But in doing so, I thought it would then pick up the mouse wheel even greater than it did before, but it seems that in truth it actually ignores the mouse wheel. But we shall see. Bjorn, give us a roar. Why does defeat almost certain? They've lost 60% of their army, and we've not even lost 15%. Do me a bloody favour, son. Orc Avengers. Keep hitting those. Everyone shred those. Look at the number of enemy arrows. Enemy arrows that have died. Enemy archers that have died. and our Bjornings have torn through the fools that have met them in combat. They are such a powerful bodyguard unit. They are easily the most powerful bodyguard unit. I think if you did a most useful bodyguards, I think what I could do with bodyguards is in a top 10 kind of format is rather than actually doing a top 10, I've seen some channels do this, and instead of giving you a top 10 like who is actually the best, I could give you a pure subjective top 10 on which are the ones I like the most, but also give it a bit of an educational theme in that making it which of the bodyguards may not be the absolute best, but which are possibly the most useful within their own nations. And I think that would be the best way to do it, because you just can't compare the bodyguards. I mean, you can, but almost always the top bodyguards would be Rohan, Harad, and Dol Amroth, and you can all guess the reason why they'd be the most useful bodyguards, because they're the only mounted ones. And so they're just straight away, they have a huge leg up on everything else. Right, what we are going to need to do though is that unit is breaking through our archer line. They've shredded that archer battalion, but their Orc Avengers have been taken out. But we are going to need to use that. The Foresters have had to get involved. That's not ideal. Bjorn has taken a lot of damage, and the Orc Avengers are armor piercing, which doesn't really matter because Bjornings or Skin Changers only have 6 armor, whereas 11 of their 17 defense is in defense skill. So they're only actually losing. The Orc Avengers only actually gain a 3-point boost in terms of their ranged ability. Ranged ability? Sorry, that's because I was clicking on archers. They only actually gain a 3-point boost in their melee. But remember that in Medieval 2, it's something of a dice roll as to whether or not units will kill one another. It's not a purely numbers game. So if this unit has a defense of 10 and this unit has an attack of 11, it's not that every hit is going to kill someone. There's a dice roll that happens behind the scenes that you just don't see. And it's how you can have bizarre situations, for example, where you'll run your cavalry bodyguard unit into a retreating sword and shield trash tier unit, and your general will die instantly in the charge, and that's because the dice has rolled poorly in his favour. And it's something that the game Medieval 2 added, and I'm not sure if they use it in later titles though. Someone else would have to tell me that, because I'm not. Medieval 2 is my far and away most played Total War game. I haven't kept up with many of the others. I've played Warhammer and Rome. I've played Shogun 2, Rome 2 and Warhammer 2 an awful lot, but nowhere near as much as Medieval. And I also haven't taken an interest in the mechanics of those games. I just play them for the laugh, for the fun of it. Right, let's capture those Snow Orc spears. We don't really want anything getting away if we can help it, because the more that we can capture, the less likely they are to have oh, what about the general? Did he die? Yes, he did. That was Gerzog. I thought it might have been the reinforcing captain. Oh, fantastic. Ah, then we might have taken the city then. 326 fell.
All who remember this day, remember it as the day of our most glorious victory.
Glorious victory. 280 kills, Skin Changers. That's fan-bloody-tastic. No one else came even close to that. The second place is 175, the Aethayad Horsemen. That's miles away. It's 105 kills away. And they're the cavalry unit as well. The secondary bodyguard, only 159. They suffered because they were already at half the strength of Bayon. Remember, Bayon has high security, so he has a lot of units. Lots of men in his company. So he stands at an advantage. But I'm really hoping that's Gundabad taken. Can you imagine if that actually is Gundabad taken? Gundabad have been such a damp squib. I love the phrase damp squib. I think it should be used so much more. But they've not really put up much of a fight. They've been so fixated on Goblin Town and run their troops up and down and up and down and up and down. Oh, we did take it. And we are going to massacre every man, woman, child, creature, pet. Hell, we'll even be burning their papers. Nothing of their civilization will be remembered. Their offers trade rights and map info, and they want 150 gold coins for 12 turns. Remnants of Angmar. Yeah, go on then. And I'm tempted to then I could just, of course, instantly break that.
An honor and a pleasure.
But we border them now, and I don't really want to risk their ire, because Angmar is a nation that one doesn't want to get on the wrong side of, whereas Gundabad has proved here to be a bit rubbish, to be honest. Angmar are powerful, and if they come swarming through that gap, we'll be in a spot of bother. Mount Gundabad overrun. The power and might of the Snow Orcs was not enough to maintain control over the great mountain of Gundabad. The walls lay in ruin, and the deep mansions below the earth have been utterly cleansed. The taint of the sons of Melkor will reside in this place for many years to come, but the inhabitants are no more. Fantastic. Oh, and Anduin prospers. The Vales are beautiful. The people prosper. Their legendary tenacity has done them proud. Not only are the Vales secure, they stand strong and united. Their foes know now the strength and purpose of their people. The Vales have gone to war with a thirst, and blood slakes their weapons as they carve a kingdom beyond their own borders at last, and realise their true potential through both trade and war. And at the same time, Brownboat's rioting, but that's okay. Now, did I add it just in time, or did I not? No, I didn't, but I'm hoping to add it to your versions of the game. But at the moment, you can't build the mountain watchtowers in Gundabad, but I think it should be one of the places you do. And I'll add that for the next version, or for when this version releases, I'll add that, so it will be a thing in all your games. Any buildings here that we have no use for? The practice range. Do you have a barracks as well? Yes. And the boar breeder's food. We've got a warg breeder? No. The great gates of Gundabad. These monumental gates are a testament to the endurance of the northern orcs. Despite the cold, bitter frost, drakes, and the biting wind, they've built a reminder to all that Gundabad is a proud nation and will not crumble easily. The harsh climate has long since rusted the gates, but the orcs see this as like their own tempering. The wind and cold may have battered them, but they stand ever strong. The great gates of Gundabad. There's also the ruined Hall of Awakening. Durin, father of the Longbeards, first to awake, wanderer, builder, architect, warrior. Whether he was friend or foe, none can deny the impact Durin has had on the fate of all dwarves. And it was here, in this very cavern, that he awoke over 7,000 years ago. However, in the time of the Third Age, his cavern now stands as a twisted monument to the downfall of his people. The orcs have long held Gundabad for their own, and the cavern lies ruined and empty. Rumblings of the power of the dwarves and memories of the war of the dwarves and orcs has given the cavern a reprieve for none but the warlord of Gundabad. I stepped foot in here since Gundabad was reclaimed for the orcs some 200 years ago. No, I read that sentence in the wrong breaks, but you get the gist. And this is why whenever doing public speaking, tip number one, or rule number one, always pre-read what you're going to say, so that you don't stumble up on the wrong places and breaks and whatnot. Ardenheim and Gondor have gone to war. Not surprising. Lord Bayon, conqueror of Gundabad. Lord Bayon, conqueror of Goblin Town. And Lord Bayon, conqueror of Goblin Town. He's become a master, if you will. I would actually like to hold on to Goblin Town, because as you might imagine, it's a very good town. It's got a very defensible battle map. It makes good money, and it's right on the border with Angmar and the Pass of Litash, which we would ideally like to keep in a peace with Angmar, as I've already mentioned. So, yes, Bwen, if you just pop out there and build me a tower, just to make sure nothing's coming.
With honor.
Why can't I construct a watchtower there? I'll build it there then instead. Oh, Dwarven Travellers, yes please.
This tower will keep vigil over the land.
And then head back to Gundabad. We might as well then claim Yulstone. So if we send a Valesman unit out into Yulstone, let's finally take that. And do we risk putting watchtowers in there? Oh, go on, sod it. What the hell? And then the Bjorning Spearmen and the Valesmen make your way up to Gundabad. But then can you train anything else? Because you're going to need to become a garrison now. Because Gundabad is now entirely on our east. I'm hoping that we can hold them in Gundabad, or perhaps even that fort just there, actually.
Your orders, my lord. Yes, my lord.
We shall see. Can you guys go and claim that fort for me? Thank you very much. And hobbits, go and get that fort for me. Oh, speaking of that fort over there, though, can we also have another tower, please? Keep an eye on Berzakul. Berzakul is such a good battle map, but I just can't help but feel that it's wasted where it is. If you play as Gundabad, you will only realistically fight there once. And if you play as the Anduin, you will likely fight there once, because by this point, Gundabad are unlikely to come back and hit you again. Although remember that we might have just accidentally gotten them down to a few... No, they've got 3 provinces, Berzakul, Daneshalls and Rakiberg, and they might have Witherboard as well. They may even have Onazanar. So I don't think they're down to their 3, so we don't have to worry just yet. But where that army spawns is fixed, I'm afraid. So if it does spawn, it will be spawning in next to Gundabad, which means it will be right on top of us. Can I get you to build those two for me, please? And then you, Fulcrid, can become free. Upkeep. Dwinberg is getting its troops, which is fantastic. Brownboat will... Oh, Ostingile rebelled. And interestingly, went independent. It didn't join Dol Guldur. That's good to see. Birdalge was taken... Oh, the fools.
As you command.
Let's see what they do there.
Your orders,
And then you... I would like you to skirt round and hit Runan, to be honest.
We shall prevail.
Because then Tugog will come in as his own army, and we need to fight both of those anyway, and we'd rather be on the defensive. So let's let Gorhur come back, hit us. We can defend him quite easily, while someone goes and deals with Tugog, sorry. And Spy up there, why don't you come back and give a bit of sight for Galeowine, because there's an army around here somewhere, and we don't really know what it's doing. We're going to lose Brown Boat, but I'm not too bothered. We need to start at the back. So once we've claimed these two, at least we know Dol Guldur will only be coming from in front of us. That's the goal here. And then eventually we can take back Roscabel. Which, oh no, it looks like the Orcs have upgraded. No, didn't it start as a large town? They can't have upgraded it. We're only 21 turns in. No, I think that's the map falling over the settlements and making them look wrong. I pray anyway. But for now, I think that's going to end this episode. I can't remember what number it is, but I think we're still below episode number 10. But we're doing relatively well. We're doing so well, in fact, that I am thinking perhaps this one needs to be a touch harder. I don't know how to make it harder without making it gamey, but with some thought, I'm sure I can get there. It's not going to be script-related to make it harder, so you don't need to suggest them. But I think Gundabad just needs to be given a bit more of something. I'm not sure. But then if Gundabad gets too hard, then it sways the wrong way. But at the moment, we're 21 turns in and we hold the capital. We've got Goblin Town. Dol Guldur haven't bothered us, but that could be why. If we just cheat for a second and have a look and see what's going on. So Dol Guldur has gone south, but remember they take these in the auto expansion, so they haven't even claimed those. They are fighting a little bit with Lothlorien. Oh, Khazad-dûm, don't tell me that you're fighting with Lothlorien. Because we're allies. Oh no, you're allied to them. Right, so you're actually going in to help. So Dol Guldur are attacking Cadas Galadon, so that's where their army mostly is, which is perhaps why they've given up on the Central Forest region. I don't want to go up there and find where that army is, but we can already see that it's left. It is that one just there. So I think Dol Guldur may need just to be a little more aggressive toward us. Oh, and that is still an elven town. I thought it might be. I was going to say, it's going to be more than 21 turns for them to upgrade it. It's only got 300 pop. It's never going to upgrade. We'll win the game before that upgrades, so that's all right. Gundabad don't have Witherboard or an Azanar, but we can see that they have got Rakiberd, Daintools and Berzakul. So once one of those regions goes, their last stand army will kick in. But outside of that, I'm never expecting Moria to actually come and be a threat, if I'm honest, because Goblin Town is obviously their only connection. I think something we could definitely do is make Goblin Town much harder to take, but I'm not sure how. I wonder if it may actually be better if Moria don't get Goblin Town when you play as the Anduin, because going to war with Moria is useless. They can't get me anymore, because it's just way too far away. Whereas if we put a big garrison in there that is, which is a Moria garrison, they'll just take all the troops out and bugger off because they won't want to defend it because we're not at war at the start of the game. I think maybe giving that a really large rebel garrison so you don't get that huge 1,000 income spike at the start. And it also completely shuts Moria down. But then it does mean that Moria's not bothering with me, which helps Moria in some way. And I think that might be preferred. I think making Goblin Town harder to get and somehow boosting Dol Guldur, like maybe giving them a few more auto expansions so they really are right on your door. So you have only then got 2 enemies to fight, but both of them are far more powerful. Because at the moment this is shaping up like it's a touch too easy. But I mean, I may be wrong. Dol Guldur might come swinging in a moment. They might get beaten back over the Anduin and then decide that I am desirable for breakfast, lunch and dinner and give me everything they've got. So I could be speaking too soon. Of course, there's always the threat that Angmar might take umbrage with my control of Gundabad and come across the pass of Litash anytime soon. And so we shall see. But for now, that's enough rumination. Let us end the video. So thank you very much for watching, if indeed you have. Do keep your ears to the ground next week for the video announcing the sort of competition regarding the splash screen design, and then get your GIMP and Photoshop skills ready. And as I say, the rewards will be given out to certainly the winner and possibly also the top sort of 2 or 3. Just for the contribution, really, for sitting down, taking the time to help DaC. Middle-earth Total War. But until we speak again, Nevair Naden Pedamad Melonin, and farewell.